When you are a young woman, the world has a way of making you believe that family will always be there, that your children will call, that your partner will grow old beside you, that you will always have someone to lean on. And sometimes that is true. But what happens when it is not? What happens when the kids stop calling, when your spouse passes away, or when friends begin to drift one by one? What happens when the house is quiet and stays that way? I want to say something that most people do not say out loud. Being alone in your later years is not a failure. It is not shameful. It is life. Maybe you are watching this and you already know that feeling. The silence after a lifetime of noise. The space after a life spent giving. Maybe you are the one who always put others first. The mother, the caregiver, the wife. And now you are asking, what happens to me? Let me tell you, you are not broken. You are not done. In fact, you are standing at a doorway, one that leads to strength, freedom, and peace. No matter what your life looks like right now, what I am about to share with you is something I call the 6 beams of strength. These are not theories. They are not complicated, and they are not just for perfect people with perfect lives. They are for women like you and me. Women who have lived, lost, and are still standing. Each beam is a foundation you can build at any age to hold you up when everything else feels shaky. And here's the thing. The last beam is the most important of all. It is the one that holds everything together. So please stay with me until the end, because this might be the most important 20 minutes you give yourself this year. Let us begin. Beam 1. Your body, your power. Let us start with the very first beam is the one that supports everything else, and that is your body, your strength, your health, your independence. Now, I know what you might be thinking. You're not 25 anymore. The joints ache. The energy dips. Some mornings you wake up and wonder where all that youthful ease went. Believe me, I get it. But here is the truth that no one tells you loudly enough. Your body is still yours, and it is still powerful. You do not have to be an athlete. You do not have to lose 30 pounds or run a marathon. That is not what I'm talking about. I am talking about claiming the kind of physical strength that lets you stay on your feet, in your home, and in control of your life on your own terms. You see, movement is freedom. It is the ability to carry your own groceries, to garden without strain, to get in and out of the bathtub safely, to walk through a museum or down a beach or into a family gathering and feel steady, present, and proud. There's a woman in my neighborhood named Evelyn. She is 81 years old. 3 years ago, she could barely walk from her front door to the mailbox. Her balance was shaky. She avoided social events because she felt embarrassed by her limitations. But she started walking again. Just 5 minutes a day at first, then 10, then 15. Now she leads a gentle stretching class at the community center. And she says it saved her life, not just physically but emotionally too. And it started with one decision, one little promise to herself. Not to change everything overnight, but just to start. So here is my question to you. What can you start today? Could you stretch for 5 minutes before bed? Could you take a slow walk around the block in the morning light? Could you swap out one processed meal this week for something fresh and colorful? These small actions are not small at all. They are investments. They are how you tell your future self, I've got you. And let us not forget food. I'm not here to tell you to diet or follow some trendy plan. But what you put into your body becomes the fuel for your energy, your memory, and your mood. When you eat whole foods, fruits, vegetables, healthy fats, clean proteins, you are not just nourishing your body, you are telling it, you matter to me. And you do. You matter. Your body is not broken. It is not used up. It is not too late. You just have to meet it with care. Because here is the truth. The stronger your body, the longer you keep your freedom. Not just your ability to move, but your ability to live fully, independently, and joyfully. You deserve that. So if you have been putting your health on the back burner, let this be your sign. Start small. Start gentle, but start today. Because your body is not what holds you back. It is what will carry you forward. Beam 2. A flexible mind. Now that we have talked about your body, let us talk about something just as important, your mind. I call this beam mental flexibility. And no, I do not mean solving math problems or doing crossword puzzles, although those are great. What I mean is this: staying curious, staying open, refusing to shrink your world just because you are growing older. See, aging is not the problem. Rigidity is when we stop exploring, when we stop learning, when we close ourselves off to new ideas. That is when life starts to feel smaller, duller, even lonelier. And I get it. Things have changed fast. Technology is overwhelming. The way people talk, the way they live, even the way they dress or date, it can all feel foreign. But here's the thing. You do not have to master it all. You just have to stay open to it. A woman I know named Gloria is 73. She once told me she felt too old to learn how to use her new smartphone. She kept saying, "That is for young people." But one day, her granddaughter showed her how to use video calling. And now, every Sunday morning, Gloria has a face-to-face chat with her friend Linda, who lives 3 states away. She lights up every time she talks about it. Not because of the phone, but because she stayed open. She allowed something new into her life, and it changed the way she connects. When you keep your mind open, you keep life interesting. You keep it moving. No. And most importantly, you stay connected, not just to the world, but to your own potential. Try learning one new thing a month. It does not have to be big. Maybe you watch a documentary about a place you have never been. Maybe you try cooking with a new spice. Maybe you finally ask someone, "Hey, can you show me how to use that app?" Not because you need it, but because it is something you have not done before. I have a little habit that helps. When I come across something I do not understand, I write it down in a small notebook I keep in the kitchen. Later, when I have a quiet moment, I look it up. Sometimes I find something fascinating. Other times, I just learn a new word. Either way, it keeps my brain alive because that is what this beam is all about. Staying mentally alive, engaged, curious, willing to grow, even now. Maybe, especially now. The world is going to keep changing, whether we like it or not. So, why not move with it? Why not lean in? And here is something else. When you keep learning, when you stay mentally flexible, you become more than just informed. You become more resilient. Change does not scare you as much. You adapt. You bounce back. And there is something deeply powerful about that, especially as a woman, especially as an older woman in a world that often treats aging like a slow fade. But you are not fading. You are unfolding. So I will ask you this. What is one thing, just one, that you could explore this week? What could you try without fear of looking silly? What could you ask, or read, or write down, just for the joy of knowing something new? Because the more flexible your mind stays, the more alive your spirit remains. You're not too old to grow. In fact, there is no better time. Beam 3. Passion without permission. Now let us talk about something that might feel a little harder to reach. Passion. Not the kind they put in romance novels. I mean the kind that makes you feel alive. The kind that gives you a reason to get out of bed in the morning. The kind of spark that says, "This is mine. I do this just because I love it." Too many women have spent their entire lives living for everyone else. Raising kids, caring for parents, holding down jobs, showing up for their partners, sacrificing time, sleep, dreams, and sometimes even their own identity. And for many, when those roles shift or disappear, the kids are grown, the caregiving ends, The career winds down. They are left standing in a quiet house asking, "Now what?" That question is not selfish. It is sacred. Because now you finally get to ask yourself, what do I want to do? I do not care if you are 60 or 75 or 92. If you are breathing, then you still have time to build something that brings you joy. It does not have to make money. It does not have to impress anyone. It just has to matter to you. I met a woman named Carolyn at a community event last year. She was 84 years old, and she had just taken up watercolor painting for the first time in her life. I asked her what made her start now. She smiled and said, "Because I never had time before. Now I do." And her paintings, they were stunning. Not because they were technically perfect, but because they were full of life, of story, of freedom. Your passion could be art, or gardening, or writing, or learning how to play an instrument. It could be organizing a clothing drive, or restoring furniture, or mentoring teenage girls who need strong women in their lives. It could be anything that makes you feel like you again. And here is the most important thing. You don't need anyone's permission. You are not too old to create. You are not too late to begin. You don't need to justify your joy to anybody. If you used to love something, go back to it. If you never gave yourself the chance, try it now. Because when you are filled with purpose, you do not just feel better. You become magnetic. You attract people, opportunities, peace, confidence. You start to glow again. Not because you are young, but because you are lit up from the inside. And passion is not always loud. Sometimes it is quiet, soft, simple, like sewing, like reading, like baking a pie from scratch because it reminds you of your grandmother. Passion does not ask for applause. It just asks for space. So here is my gentle challenge to you. Make space. Just 1 hour this week. 1 hour to do something that is only for you. Something that does not serve anyone else. Something that does not check a box. Something that feeds your soul. This is your time. These are your pages. And you get to write whatever story you want from here on out. Do not let anyone, especially your own inner critic, tell you it is too late. Because your most beautiful chapter might still be the one you have not written yet. Beam 4. Financial peace and independence. Now, let us talk about something that makes a lot of people uncomfortable. But we are going to talk about it honestly and gently. That is money. And no, I am not here to give you financial advice or tell you how to invest. I am here to talk about something much deeper. Peace of mind. See, financial independence at this stage of life is not about being rich. It is not about driving a fancy car or living in some big house. It is about not lying awake at night wondering if you can pay your bills. It is about knowing you can afford what you need, do what you enjoy now and then, and live your life without fear of becoming a burden to anyone. That kind of peace is priceless. And here is something I want you to know. It is never too late to create that kind of financial calm. It starts with simplifying, with choosing what truly matters, and letting go of the rest. I remember when my husband and I had our real talk about money. We were in our early 60s. The kids were grown. The big house felt empty and expensive. And we realized that the things we once thought were status symbols, the fancy appliances, the second car, the designer furniture, did not make us feel full. They made us feel tied down. So we downsized. We sold that big old house. We moved into a smaller home, easier to clean, easier to heat, closer to the places we actually cared about. And you know what? I do not miss that big kitchen or the 3-car garage. What I gained in exchange was peace, room to breathe. We also cut back on things that were just habits, not joy. Subscriptions. We forgot we were paying for impulse shopping that gave us a moment of excitement but nothing lasting. And with that, something beautiful happened. Our money started to work for us, not the other way around. Now let me be clear. You do not have to give up the things that make life joyful. If you love a good steak dinner once a month, keep it. If travel lights up your spirit, plan for it. Just be mindful. Just be aware of what adds value and what adds noise. Some women I know have also found joy in small income hobbies, selling handmade crafts, babysitting once a week, renting out a guest room. Not because they need to, but because it gives them a sense of agency. One woman I met sells her grandmother's vintage button collection piece by piece online. She says every time she makes a small sale, it reminds her that she is still active in the world, still creative, still capable. That is what financial independence really means. You get to choose. You are not stuck. You're not at the mercy of anyone. You live life on your terms. So if money has been a source of stress for you, breathe. Start small. Track what comes in, what goes out. Cut what does not serve you. Save what you can. And spend with heart, not habit. Because here is the truth. You do not need more to feel free. You just need enough, and the wisdom to know what enough looks like for you. And that wisdom, you already have it. You have lived too long and learned too much not to use it now. Beam 5. A grounded spirit. Now, let us talk about something that can feel hard to explain but easy to feel. It is not about your body or your bank account. It is something deeper. It is your spirit. I call this the 5th beam. A grounded spirit, your emotional and spiritual foundation. And before you worry, no, this is not about religion. Unless that is something meaningful to you, this is about having a sense of peace and place in the world. It is about knowing deep down that even when life gets quiet, even when you are alone, even when everything feels uncertain, you are still connected to something greater than yourself. Some people find that connection through faith, others through nature, some through meditation or reading ancient philosophy, or just sitting in silence and watching the light shift across the room. You do not have to believe in anything specific. You just need a way to feel centered. For me, that moment of peace often comes on long walks. No music, no phone, just the sound of my steps, the wind in the trees, the world going about its business around me. I walk the same loop near a small park by my house. There's an old stone bench under a maple tree. When I sit there, something in me settles. I do not have to solve anything. I do not have to do anything. I just get to be. And sometimes, just being is the most sacred thing we can allow ourselves to do. I also like to read the writings of people who came long before us. People who had no social media, no 24-hour news, no smartwatches buzzing at them all day. Just life and loss and wonder. People like Marcus Aurelius, the ancient Roman emperor who wrote about humility and purpose, or Lao Tzu, the old Chinese philosopher who taught that real strength lies in soft. And sometimes I open a Bible or a book of poetry or a journal from years ago just to remember who I used to be and who I still am. This is not about chasing happiness. This is about building inner steadiness, the kind that carries you through grief, through loneliness, through aging, the kind that reminds you that you are enough even when no one else sees you. It is also about finding rituals, not routines, but rituals. Things that bring you into presence that make your day feel grounded, even if everything else feels a little unsteady. Maybe it is lighting a candle while you drink your tea. Maybe it is writing down 3 things you are grateful for before bed. Maybe it is gardening, or praying, or playing music while you cook your favorite meal. These small acts become anchors. They remind you that life is still happening, that beauty still exists, that you still belong here. One woman I know has a little altar in her home. Not a religious one, but a sacred one. On it she keeps photos of people she has loved and lost, A small stone from the beach she visited when she turned 70, a letter from her daughter, and every morning she lights a match and says out loud, "Thank you for another chance." That is her way of staying connected. What is yours? This world can be loud, and when you are older, sometimes it feels like no one is listening anymore. But there is a deep and quiet strength in you, a kind of wisdom that only time can create. Let that wisdom be your guide. Let it calm your worries. Let it hold you when nothing else can. Because when your spirit is grounded, life feels less frightening. You begin to see the hard days as part of the journey, not the end of it. You begin to trust yourself more. You stop needing every answer, and instead find peace in the question. And maybe most importantly, you begin to forgive yourself, others, the past, life itself. So, if you have not already, find something today that makes you feel connected to the earth, to your breath, to your place in this vast and complicated world, because you are not just growing older, you are growing deeper, and in that depth, there is peace. Beam 6. The right people, not many, just real. We have talked about your body, your mind, your passion, your finances, and your spirit. Now let us talk about something that holds it all together, your people. Because no matter how independent, wise, or grounded we become, we were never meant to walk this road completely alone. This sixth and final beam is about relationships. Not just any relationships, but the right ones, the real ones, the ones that see you, hear you, and hold you. Let us be honest. After 60, relationships change. The kids are busy. Some of our oldest friends may move away. Some pass on. Some simply fade from our lives. And while family is a gift, it is not always consistent. They love you, but they have their own lives, and they cannot always show up in the way you hoped or expected. That is not your fault. That is life. But what that means is this: if you want connection, if you want support, you have to build your circle on purpose. Not just the people who are related to you, but the people who actually make you feel safe, loved, and valued. You do not need a crowd. You do not need dozens of names in your phone or hundreds of likes on Facebook. You need a few good people. People who bring peace, not drama. People you can call when you are having a hard day. People you can laugh with until your belly aches. People who will sit with you in silence and not need to fill it. And let me be clear, it is never too late to make new friends. It might feel strange at first, but it is possible. One of the women in my community told me she made her closest friend at age 72 in a cooking class for beginners. They were both widowed, both nervous about being in a group, both unsure if they even wanted to be there. But they struck up a conversation about oatmeal raisin cookies, and now they talk every single week. Another woman joined a walking group, not because she loved walking, but because she was tired of eating lunch alone every day. 2 years later, that walking group has become her chosen family. Friendship in later life takes courage. It takes showing up. It takes trying something new and letting people in, even after heartbreak, especially after heartbreak. And if you feel like you do not have anyone right now, that is okay. Start small. Easy. Say hello to someone at the grocery store. Join a book club at your local library. Volunteer somewhere once a week. Take an art or dance class. Go to that potluck, even if you are nervous. You do not have to network or be charming. Just be present. Be kind. Let things unfold naturally. Let people see the real you, the woman who has lived and learned and still has so much love to give. And while you are building your circle, be careful who you let stay in it. You deserve friends who lift you up, not ones who tear you down. You deserve people who celebrate your growth, not belittle your journey. You deserve to feel seen, respected, included. So if there are people in your life who drain your spirit, who make you doubt yourself, or who only show up when they need something, it is okay to step back. You are allowed to protect your peace. It is not about cutting people off with anger. It is about honoring your energy, your time, your value. Choose people who are honest, kind, and present, and be that person in return. Because at the end of the day, no matter how strong your other beams are, your health, your knowledge, your passion, your finances, your spirit, we all need connection. Even if it is just one or two trusted souls. Even if it is one neighbor, one classmate, one dear friend across the country you talk to every Sunday. You do not need many. You just need real. So ask yourself this: who lifts me up? Who feels safe to me? Who can I show up for too? And if no one comes to mind yet, that is your invitation to begin. Not someday. Not when you feel less awkward. Now. Go. Because you, my friend, are not meant to walk through life alone. And someone out there is hoping to meet someone just like you. Now that we have walked through all 6 beams, your physical health, your mental flexibility, your passion, your financial peace, your grounded spirit, and your real relationships, I want to tell you something I believe with all my heart. You're stronger than you think. You're wiser than you give yourself credit for. And you are absolutely not done. Life after 60 is not a slow decline. It is a shift, a transition into a chapter that can be rich, vibrant, and deeply meaningful if you choose to build it with care. The truth is, no one is coming to save us. Not our kids, not the government, not the perfect partner. And, honestly, that is okay, because you are not helpless. You are not lost. You're not waiting to be rescued. You're the one holding the pen now. You get to write what comes next. But, and this part matters, you have to build your beams before you desperately need them. You cannot wait until you are sick or lonely or financially stuck. You cannot wait until life forces your hand. These 6 beams are like trees. You plant them now so they can shelter you later. So if you are in your 40s or 50s and watching this, now is the perfect time to begin. If you are in your 60s, 70s, or beyond, you can still begin today. Not next week. Not next year. Today. You do not need to do everything all at once. Just take one step. One small decision that says, I am worth taking care